Hello lovely people, welcome back to the Extremewise Predictions channel. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through a detailed psychic predictions for the rest of November, December 2025 and into January 2026. I'm going to be covering a lot of topics. One of the topics I'll be covering is earth and climate events. I'm also going to be covering scientific and health discoveries as well, though we can make it short as health or health discoveries or maybe medicine or anything like that. We're also going to be covering war and geopolitical events. I'm also going to be covering global and US economies. I'm also going to be covering political and scandals, including the Epstein files. I'm also going to be covering social unrest, leadership, and then maybe like leadership challenges and also early signal for 2026. If you're new to the channel, kindly like, subscribe, and also don't forget to turn on your notification bell so you can get notified when I post similar videos like this. All of these are psychic-based predictions, and my predictions are for entertainment purposes only. I tell you what I see, what I feel, what I hear, and also how I tune in into these timelines as well. Let's get into the video. So first of all, I'm seeing something about Gaza. It's like, and then the ongoing conflict. It's like I've already made this prediction before, I think so, and I think that there's going to be like the unclear resolution of Gaza's conflict. By the end of 2025, there's not going to be any clear resolution of the conflict, and there's going to be an announcement or a speech claiming there's programs or progress or frameworks in place to actually bring the conflict into a peaceful one, but I don't see that happening. Even with those speeches going on, I also see violence and displacement actually continuing. That is what I actually see. The winter conditions will actually also continue, and then also humanitarian suffering will also continue in Gaza and the conflict as well. Already predicted that this conflict may be resolved in February. They're about going February. They're about that. I see that it will start to cool down, and when the Saudi Arabia's kind of get involved in these predictions, this conflict, this is actually going to be cooling down, like I said. And I see that Saudi Arabia has already contacted the US in some deals that they are making. I'm also seeing that Ukraine, regardless of the momentum, momentum that they have developed, I see that people are actually going to be suffering. There's going to be heavy losses, and I see Ukraine showing like a renewed strength on some front that is going to be happening. And I'm seeing that there's going to be a tactical gain that will actually be reached in terms of some symbolism that will actually be coming up and stuff like that. And then I also see that in the same timeline, I'm seeing images of like distractions. I'm seeing civil hardship circulating all over the world and stuff like that. And I'm seeing that Western aid will come or will become very major political topics in this conflict heading into 2026. I'm seeing that there's going to be also talks of new security guarantees, but there's not going to be any peace yet. I said that there's going to be peace somewhere in going to the third quarter of 2026, that or the end of 2026. That's what I was seeing. I'm also seeing that Russia may be gaining like global attention, which means that Russia will stay, at the center of multiple stories. Russia will stay at the center. That's what I'm seeing, that Russia is going to be staying at the center of multiple stories. I see stories like, the war, energy leverage, internal political developments will actually also be coming up for Russia. Out of all this, I'm seeing something like sanctions, energy markets, and global alliance will keep shifting in Russia. That's what I'm actually picking up for Russia at the moment. I think I'm also seeing something. I'm also seeing like a political, I don't know why I'm picking up this. I'm seeing like a political motivated assassination this is going to be something outside the United States. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like a high profile political figure. I don't know who that is going to be, but that's what I'm picking up. Political figure, not at the very top of the, kind of power chain or something like that, but a very important, figure that is regionally, recognized. Is going to be target in an attack. This is going to be tied to maybe like a domestic political tension. It's not going to be a random violence. This incident will cause unrest and demonstrations in that country. I see that actually going to be happening, and there's going to be security concerns or security services crackdown in this country. That is going to be happening. And I also see that international observers will question the stability of the political system there as well. That is what I'm seeing that is going to be happening at that moment. I'm also hearing internal friction. I'm hearing the word internal friction in my mind. And I'm seeing that there's going to be a major, I think, Asian power, something to do with Asian power. And I'm sensing that there's going to be internal dispute within leadership of a large Asian country. That's what I'm actually picking up. I'm not seeing the Asian country specifically, but that's what I'm picking up. This is not I think this is not to open like a civil war, but it is a policy disagreement. That's what I'm seeing. Policy disagreements, maybe purges or reshuffling. That is what I'm picking up in that regards. And there's going to be maybe reports of anti-corruption campaigns, and then also like disciplinary actions in those in that Asian country. That is what I'm actually picking up for that Asian country. And I'm doing this live, so I may not have a lot of details, but I'll manage to get you some details in that regards. I'm also seeing something like a major event wave in the Middle or West Africa. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm seeing something like a cluster of events, a lot of events happening that is going to be affecting, I think, the West or Central Africa. That is what I'm actually seeing. It's like this kind of event is tied to maybe like infrastructure incidents or political shifts, or maybe like security events that way. That is going to be affecting multiple, countries within those African countries that I was talking about. And I'm seeing that this will radiate from maybe areas including maybe nearby. I'm picking the Congo region or something like that. That's what I was picking up. And this was going to be, connected to other countries as well, or island countries within Africa thereabouts. And this is going to make international organization respond and also provide aid to this country. That is going to be happening as well. And maybe security assistance or something like that. That's what I was picking for that. I'm also picking up like a very big, deep ocean earthquake. I think this is near Japan. I'm seeing something near Japan. I'm seeing this earthquake occurring deep under the ocean. It's like to the east or to the southeast, something like that of Japan. But it is not necessarily like a huge tsunami, but enough to hit the news or to hit the headlines. That's what I'm picking up. This earthquake will be reported as deep focus events, leading to maybe new analysis or stretch patterns in that region. And Japanese government will invest more, I think, undersea monitoring and contingency planning. And I also see there's going to be discussions about whether these deep earthquakes are, orchestrated by something else, or there is something that is actually attached to this kind of earthquakes that is going to be happening in Japan. Whilst I'm picking up on that, I'm seeing something like animals used for something. I'm seeing like there's going to be a new use of animals for earth events or something like that. Like they are detecting earth events with animals. That's what I'm seeing. And I see researchers publicly, discussing or publishing works about using animal behaviors to actually anticipate, earthquakes and natural disasters. That is what I'm actually picking up like that. There will be highlights of data collected from farm animals, pets, or marine animals, having this feeling they are actually, vaccinating them, those animals, to have, to have that process of having that ability to detect these earth events that are going to be happening. That's what I was actually seeing happening in that regards. And I'm seeing that there's going to be more funding that is going to go into, this kind of program or things like that in that regards, where, animals are used to, detect disaster predictions or combining, senses and stuff like that in that regards, and then they will have a lot of observation for those animals. That is what I actually picking about that. And I'm seeing also volcanic and glaciers, something like that. I'm seeing something related activities, like volcanic activities happening, and I'm seeing that this two earth-related news teams will emerge in the news. They will emerge together. I'm seeing that, like, there's going to be volcanic something activity in the news. This is going to happen around maybe Iceland or something like that, or at least maybe some of those regions. That's what I'm seeing, or any of the volcanic zones that is going to happen. Maybe the North Atlantic or the Mediterranean or something like that. That's what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing like a giant glacier or something like that becoming a concern. You know, in a lot of places, it's going to, something like that is going to be hitting the news. That is what I'm picking up at the moment when I'm seeing these things. And then the giant glacier, I'm picking like Greenland or something like that. I'm speaking Greenland, and then there is a word Atlantic or something like that. I'm not able to pronounce it well, but I'm seeing the word as well. I'm seeing that instead of, Trump sending like stimulus check. I know that he promised about sending like $2,000 stimulus check. Instead of him sending that, I'm having a strange feeling that he would rather be going to, pardon our debts. Like a lot of people who have debts will be pardoned. I see debts being pardoned. And I don't know why this will happen, like that. I'm having that feeling that he's going to be pardoned. Like your student loans will be pardoned or will be settled. When you wake up, you see that your student loan will be settled. Other loans also is going to be settled. And it looks like the world debt will be gone. That is what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing that they will introduce, or this is going to be opening doors for different currency to be introduced into the world. And I'm having a feeling they are going to be using this to actually control us, like something like that. Like there's going to be an introduction of digital currency that is going to be happening. That's what I see. And I'm also seeing that there's going to be a late season, like hurricane in the US, and I'm seeing that this is going to be out of season, like something like that, a tropical system happening, something in that regards, in terms of a hurricane that is going to come, or is going to come up like a hurricane strength or something closer to that. It's going to be between, I think, the Western Gulf, that is going to be like Texas, or it's going to be like southwest of Atlanta, or the Atlantic or something like that, or maybe somewhere in North Carolina or South Carolina. That is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that the storm is going to be something very unusual, mainly for its timing, and it is going to distract a lot of travels and cause a lot of coastal and island flooding at least one of the US major states. That is going to be happening. And I see that there's going to be a media discussion that is going to be around, hurricane seasons, calendar being outdated and stuff like that, those kind of things. And I also see that there's going to be insurance and then rebuilding costs that is going to actually be affecting a lot of people that will be affected by this kind of a thing. I see that there's going to be stress around the world in that regards. I'm also seeing that there's going to be an unusual dryness. This has to do with places in Australia. That's what I'm seeing, like an unusual dryness in Australia. I'm seeing something for the eastern and then the southeastern. I don't know why I'm having feeling for eastern part. I'm having for eastern and then the southeastern of Australia, which may include maybe the New South Wales or Victoria or something like that. I'm seeing them reporting conditions that are drier than usual for this kind of time of the year. I see that happening, and I'm seeing that this is going to be showing up maybe in late November coming into December or mid-December there, about in 2025. And I see that local farmers in that area will be reporting about their crops having stressful something like that in those regards. I see that happening in that regards. And I see that, I'm also seeing like fire authorities will raise early concerns of bushfire alerts at least one of those regions in early this time, or it's going to be very unusual coming up around this time. And I see people are calling for improved weather or water management conditions in those kinds, or maybe draft conditions in those kind of places, or they are going to be having a preparation into 2026 where they are expecting that this may not be happening again. That is what I'm actually seeing. I'm also seeing like a major or a mega war coming. This is very, very serious. I'm seeing something like that coming. And this is tied to maybe something like religious. For me, I don't believe in religion in terms of that, like, there are multiple religions. I don't believe in those. I believe that we are all one people, but I'm seeing that like a major conflict coming that is going to be religious based. That is what I'm seeing. I don't know. For me, I don't know how this is going to be happening, but that is what I'm seeing happening. And this is going to be very, very massive. That is what I see happening. While I'm talking about that, I'm also seeing that there's going to be food safety alerts that is going to be hitting, the news. And I see like health warnings in the US is going to be tied to like contaminated food and stuff like that. That is what I'm actually seeing. And I'm also seeing that this is kind of involved to canned foods or like jar foods or something like that. Those, canned foods, jar food, or maybe preserved food and things like that. And people will become very, very concerned or more concerned or cautious about buying those kind of foods and stuff like that, or maybe stored foods and stuff, or expired foods in that regards. And people will be looking at when they are going to buy something, they'll be looking at the expiration date to be very cautious about some of these things happening, because I see a lot of contaminated food in the system at the moment. I see that coming up in the moment. I see that there's going to be like a discovery of like soil, something in the soil, or something like that, a sample of an ice cold sample, something in that regards. And this is going to be like scientifically related, and scientists is going to make let's say an announcement of a discovery of an ancient something concerning an ancient stuff that they are going to be making those announcements to. I'm also seeing something for surveillance and like the way we have surveillance cameras and data controversy. It's like a tech company or a government partnership related surveillance or a data analysis coming under public scrutiny. I see that happening. It's like the company specialized in data mining and predictive analytics will hit the headlines. It's going to be about monitoring citizens or those who are doing protests and stuff like that. And this will be like a certain political or ideology group becoming widely vocal about this incident actually happening, or the violation of their privacy. That is what I see happening. And I think that this will make some users deactivate their accounts on this kind of company or this surveillance company. And this is going to be something that is going to be happening for a specific surveillance company or a data mining company in the United States. There's going to be a holiday scarcity, and then I think consumption will be very, very low in this holiday season. I see a lot of people spending less than expected. We all know this is going to be happening. It's not going to be like a prediction, but that's something that I'm picking up in this holiday season. But the funny part is that some retailers will report lower than expected sales. More people will actually choose cheaper or homemade gifts over trying to buy expensive gifts and stuff like that. A lot of people will try to be saving their money for more productive things, and I see this actually going to be happening. I'm also seeing that there's going to be tariff and trade politics impacting the economy more than how officials actually admitted. I'm seeing that certain imported goods becomes notably more expensive and scarce, and some manufacturers or export sectors will be complaining about squeezed margins. I think that economics will begin talking about, hidden downturn of, this kind of import and stuff, or these tariffs that are being introduced and stuff like that. This is going to be hitting headlines, and it's going to make headline numbers as well. That is what I actually been picking for this one. I think that this is like it is already happening, but I'm picking it up anyways. It's like stock market will experience like a nose down or something like that. A stock market will experience like a nose dive. That will rather be like partially recovered, but there's going to be a partial recover, but not a full recover. There's going to be like a sharp drop of stock, like the stock market, and I think this is already happening. The index funds will fall quickly over maybe several sections. Then it will recover part of the losses that has actually been lost. But I see that investors will become more and more, nervous about investing, getting into 2026, and there's going to be a lot of discussions about that. And I also see that, some retirement accounts will be, or funds will be actually hit. They will experience a very high dip in their money and stuff like that. That is what I see happening for the stock market coming forward. I'm also seeing something actually coming for Bitcoin, right? This is not good news, and this is going to be very, very massive. I don't know, but this is going to be like crazily bad. That's what I'm picking up. I don't think that I'm having that feeling that this is going to be bad for crypto. That's what I'm saying. I know that crypto is going down already. That is not the reason why I'm predicting it. I already made a prediction that in January, crypto will be going massively down. If you can check some of my prediction video that I've made about crypto in the past, and you guys know I already made these predictions. I see also that the dollar will weaken, and there's going to be like a reliability concerns about the US dollar. I see that the US dollar will weaken very further, and this is going to be, kind of bring a lot of concerns, currency concerns to other countries, and partners will begin to quickly question the reliability of the US dollar as the trade anchor. And there's going to be, like countries are going to be having discussions of alternative currency arrangement in some international forums and stuff like that, into replacing the US dollar to be that, international trade anchor in that regards. And I see this actually happening for most of the international trade markets. I see many people in the US will feel, kind of emotionally down or emotionally fatigued or worn down, and then they will have the need for unity. I see a lot of people actually express like burnout from political drama, economic, stress and other things like that within the US, and conflicts that is actually been going on within the United States. And I see this actually happen. I'm also seeing that in the US, there's going to be an increase in grassroots support and community food projects that is going to be going on. And I'm seeing that there's going to be more local staffing food programs that is going to be in the community. Like there's going to be like community gardens, there's going to be food co-ops, and then there's going to be mutual aid networks that is going to be happening, and people will begin to trust local networks more than the large institutions. And I see that happening in the United States. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a major court loss by a key political figure, and this is going to be happening in the US. And I'm seeing that this prominent political figure will lose a significant court case in the United States. This will damage the person's future in terms of politics and their reputation as well, or their credibility. And this is what I see happening in the United States. A prominent person like that I see happening. I see the Supreme Court ruling against the one major administrative matter. This is going to be a huge one. And I see that also that the word treason was actually in the news. I see the word treason in the news, and I see a lot of people having discussion about this in as well. And then I think that there's going to be like actions taken, and then there's something about a leak, like there's a leak information from a higher, office, or a, some close circle that is going to be happening. While I'm talking about that, I'm seeing that the Congress is actually mourning, and I'm seeing the death of or like incapacitation of an important official. I see that there's going to be like tributes and public ceremony that's going to be dominating news, and then a lot of things like that will be happening. I'm seeing that happening in a short while like that. That's what I'm actually picking up, and I'm also feeling that the U.S. a US former president will pass away, I think in 2026. That's what I'm hearing. And it's going to be like an all of a sudden kind of event that is going to be happening. That is what I was picking up. And I've also predicted this before, that the US government will reopen. Like I predicted in the past, I told you guys that it's going to be reopened. But I also feel that there's still going to be pain. Pain is going to actually continue. And that's what I'm feeling, that pain is actually going to be continuing. Even after the US government has reopened, I see that pain is actually going to be continuing. I see things like, healthcare premiums, food costs, and like rental will remain very, very high. I don't know if you have noticed that rent has become very, very high, and this will not feel like, the public will not feel like they have been rescued from anything in the reopening of the government. I'm also seeing like strong activities around the Epstein file. Like I'm seeing strong activities or a fallout around the Epstein file. There's going to be an increased activities around the Epstein file, and it looks like votes or decisions are going to be taken to release more materials or additional evidence or videos, either by leaks or by something that has been prepared to be released or something like that. And this will have like a serious reputational damage for multiple powerful individuals. This, including, people that are widely known or people that are not widely known. I think this is going to be happening, and it's going to be a wide weight, thing that is going to be associated with scandals and stuff like that. And I think the public will be angry about, how long this secret has been kept for. That is what I'm actually picking up. Like people will be angry about how long this tangible secrets has been actually been kept for. I'm also seeing that people will start talking about Donald Trump's health and like legal pressures and stuff like that. I see that this is going to be happening, but the reality is that he is actually stressed. It's going to be stress related, but there's going to be talks in relation to illness or his health matters and stuff like that. And there's going to be concerns about him entering into 2026. A lot of people will be talking about his health and stuff like that, but he will be actually in a stress mode or something like that. I think that the man is actually stressed at the moment, and I'm feeling that happening. And I already told you guys that he has been given something that has been contaminated, so he's suffering from those things and he's recovering from those at the moment. Whilst I'm talking about that, I'm having a lot of feelings about a lot of elections in the United States. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of elections in the United States in 2026, but I'm having that feeling of a lot of elections happening. If any of you knows about what kind of elections that is going to be happening in 2026, I'm picking up a lot of elections in the United States in 2026. That's what I'm actually picking up. And if I continue like this, kind of giving you these details, I think we are going to be here for a very, very long time. So I will pick up some of these things and then I'll translate them to like headings, because I'm having a lot of information coming to me, and I would like to, kind of go a little bit faster so that I can get more information or more prediction out there. I'm seeing a lot of things happening in that regards. Do you guys remember that I said that and there's going to be like they are going to start vaccinating animals and stuff like that? Oh yes, some millions and billionaires will also start kind of like this. Something I'm having a feeling that because of this vaccination that is going on, right? Millionaires and billionaires will be dropping, like they will be passing away all of a sudden. Like they will be without any reason, like people will be passing away all of a sudden. That's what I see happening. This will be all over the world. It's not like for a specific country or something like that. I'm seeing that this thing is going to be happening where, millionaires and billionaires will just be passing away just like that, because of some of these things. That's what I'm seeing happening at the moment. I'm also seeing like a significant wildfire in the southern hemisphere, something like South America or Australia. Is going to actually briefly dominate international headlines, I think in December or January 2026, December 2025 or January 2026. That's what I'm picking up having it. I'm also having a flash of flood. Like I'm having, like I'm drowning, like I'm having a flash of flood hitting an urban area in Europe. I think that it's going to be causing like distraction and transportation chaos. I see this happening in some parts of like Europe. I'm seeing this happening. It's like I'm drowning like I had before. While I'm talking about that, I'm also seeing like a mid-sized earthquake, something around maybe 6.0 is going to be happening. Like a mid-sized earthquake is going to be happening. It's like 6.0. It's going to occur at maybe like a crowded populated city. It's going to be in Asia or Latin America. I think this is going to be happening maybe somewhere in January 2026. That's what I'm picking up. This is going to cause like structural damage. It's going to be like, for structures and stuff like that. That's what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a landslide triggered by heavy rain that is going to be close to like major mountain areas. I think like a highway or something like that. Major mountain areas, a highway. This is going to be happening in Europe or Asia. I think the timeline is November, is like December, January. That's the timeline I'm seeing, that there's going to be this, kind of, high, heavy rains that is going to close those kind of things. I'm also seeing there's going to be an unseasonal heat that is going to be reported in one of the northern hemisphere city. I think here is going to be in December 2025, somewhere in December 2025. It's going to break temperature records. That is what I'm seeing happening, that this is going to be breaking temperature records. I feel like there's going to be a severe cold wave that is going to hit parts of North America, and this is going to be like I'm seeing it in January 2026. That is going to be happening. This is going to be stressing energy grid and increasing heat costs. This is going to increase heat costs in the United States, and this is going to happen in the North American countries. Places. I'm also seeing that drought indicators will worsen in at least one African country. I see this happening, that it's going to be prompting emergency water measures by January 2026. This is going to be happening, that their drainage system will not be there and it's going to be worsening. A lot of things is going to be happening in that regards. I know this video is going to be a little bit long, but stay with me. I'm giving you a lot of predictions, because we are almost at the end of the year. And I'm also seeing that there's going to be a new climate report that is going to be released maybe late December 2025. That is going to warn that there's going to be a key temperature threshold that is going to be closer or something like that, like a key temperature threshold warning that is going to be coming. And I see this happening in late December 2025. There's also going to be like a seismic swing activity or something like that. And I see that there's going to be like, this is going to be observed like a near volcano site in Europe. I see this happening, raising discussion about not leading to a major eruption. But I think that this is going to eventually erupt in 2026, but that is what I see. Like there's going to be a discussion about it that is going to happen. I'm also seeing that there's going to be an unusual animal death that is going to happen, and one of kind of a thing that is going to happen. And I don't know which animal it is, but it looks like maybe fish, bird, or maybe a marine, kind of animal or something like that. That's what I'm seeing. And I think that this will be reported. It's going to be linked to maybe temperature shift or something like that. And this is going to be happening somewhere in January 2026. That is what I was picking, was I'm talking about that. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a medical study that is going to be linked to like a common ultra food, like a food ingredients, something in a food ingredient that is going to be highly risky for major disease. It's going to be like that. And this will prompt renewed debate by somewhere in January, something like that. That's what I'm seeing for that actually happening. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a major cyber attack on a large company. The last time I predicted about major cyber attack, it happened. I'm also seeing that it's going to be another major cyber attack on a large company or a public service, on a public service, affecting millions of users' data before the end of December 2025. That's what I'm seeing happening. Maybe it will go into January, but I see that happening before the end of 2025. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a new AI model or a platform that launches, and it will be that will be launched, but it is going to be scrutinized for misinformation on risks by early 2026. That is what I'm picking up happening at the moment in that regards. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a biotech company that is going to announce a promising therapy targeting degenerative disease, something like that. Like this disease is something that has to do with the brain or something like that. And I say this happening in December 2025. That's what I'm picking up at the moment. Whilst I'm talking about that, I'm seeing that there's going to be a space mission that makes a significant discovery about like an asteroid, a comet, or a planetary atmosphere that is going to get the media attention by January 2026. Like the last time I told you guys that a comet or an asteroid will try to hit Earth, whilst humans will look at it. And I'm making this prediction again that is going to be happening. I'm seeing that there's going to be a privacy, backlash that will arise against a popular application or a social media platform that will lead to users deleting or limiting usage on that platform. That is what I'm actually seeing happening, that this will happen for a popular social media platform. That is what I'm seeing. And there's going to be like a pilot program. I'm seeing like a pilot program happening. That pilot program will use drones or robotic something to help, with rural or, I would think difficult deliveries or something like that. I'm seeing something like that happening, which will be going public in December 2025 or January 2026. That is what I'm actually seeing happening. I'm also seeing that there's going to be vaccination. Like I told you guys already, there's going to be a vaccination, right? Vaccination will be happening. And I'm seeing that this vaccination, there's going to be like a misinformation about the vaccine or medication, forcing public healthcare of public health bodies to push clarification. They will actually be in here trying to kind of clarify what the vaccination is all about. Just that you have to be very attention to those things. There's going to be a vaccination. I told you that the virus or the pandemic will be on hold whilst they'll push for a vaccination. I made this prediction already before, and you guys already know that I did this prediction. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a data breach in a health, in health or like a insurance system that will reveal like sensitive patient information. And I think this is going to be happening somewhere in January 2026. That's what I'm picking up happening. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a major tech figure, right? That is going to receive like criticism for comments about AI replacing workers. I see somebody like that, a tech figure, having that criticism about having that, comments about AI replacing workers, sparking public debates in maybe late 2025. I see that happening in late 2025. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a border clash or a tension standoff that will occur between two neighboring countries. This is going to be either in the Asia or Africa, and this is going to be happening. I'm seeing something happening in January 2026, but this will fall short of a full-scale war. This is not going to be a full-scale war, but this is going to be a tension that's going to be happening, like an African or an Asian country. I see that sanctions are tightening or expanding against at least one country accused of human rights abuse. I see that happening, and I see that there's going to be a cyber activities against that country. That's what I'm actually seeing for that one. I'm also seeing that, let's say, a Latin American country will experience uh, mass protests over economic hardship or political corruption before the end of December 2025. That's what I'm actually picking for that one. I'm seeing that actually happening. That's what was I'm picking up on that. I'm picking a lot of information, and it's making me a little bit heavy. I'm seeing that an European government will face like a no confidence vote or like a serious coalition crisis around December 2025 into January 2026. That is what I'm actually seeing happening. There's going to be a new negotiation or back channel talks regarding nuclear or missile programs for, I think, maybe somewhere, I think January 2026. That's what I'm actually picking for that one happening. I see that happening. I don't know if I still have to be going on, but I'm picking up more and more information. I'm seeing like a prominent African leader that will announce a reform or a reshuffle in response to internal crisis. I see this happening for an African country, and I see this happening in Africa at the moment. I'm seeing that there's going to be a middle eastern state that's going to experience a significant, let's say, cabinet change or a government reshuffle. And I see this happening for January 2026. I see this happening for January 2026. I'm also seeing that a high visibility in terms of a corruption case involving a senior official is going to be coming up, or is going to come to light or come to public, and this is going to be happening in Europe. I'm seeing, when I said Europe, I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing Europe, Asia, and then Latin America, and I see this before the end of 2025. So let's take a look at Europe, Asia, or Latin America before the end of December 2025. And I see that a peace building initiative or a ceasefire effort is going to be announced in a regional conflict, right? The conflict that we already know about. Though it's going to be successful, but it will remain uncertain. I see this happening. Like I told you guys, that there is going to be a peace talk for one of those conflicts in February, and I see this actually happening. I see a religious or I see a regional alliance or like a kind of a discussion or something like that, expanding membership or changes of internal rules by 2026. I don't know which country it's going to be, but that's what I'm picking up. I think it's for the United States, because that is what I'm picking up strongly for the United States. That's what I was picking up in that regards, that there's going to be this actually happening. I'm also seeing that whilst I'm talking about that, I'm seeing something. I want to get a clarification of it. I'm seeing like a major multinational company in the United States is going to be like announcing layoffs and or reshuffling or something like that. This will be linking to decisions of slow consumption demand or consumer demand of their products. And I'm seeing this happening in January 2026. That's what I'm actually picking up for that regards. I'm seeing something like that. There's going to be that announcement that is going to be happening. I'm also seeing that oil prices will experience a notable spike or a drop that is going to be tied to geopolitical or supply distraction, I think in December to January 2020. So December 2025 to January 2026. That is what I'm actually seeing happening. Guys, you can see that it looks like 2025 has already even ended already, and we are moving into like 2026 already. It's very, 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 like, it just happened like overnight. That is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like an at least one major retailer in the United States will publicly warn of continuous weak sale in 2025. In 2026, that's what I see for a retailer in the United States. I'm seeing that a central bank outside the US surprising markets either with a rate cut or a spike or maybe a hike or something like that before the end of January 2026. I'm seeing that for a certain central bank that is going to be happening. There's going to be an increase in personal debt stress stories in the media. I think this is going to be the one leading to a lot of debts being canceled or something like that. In the media, something to do with credit cards, something to do with auto loans, something to do with housing. I think in late 2025 is going to be happening like somewhere in December 2025. That is what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a cryptocurrency event which will either be sharp, will be like a sharp correction or a regulatory crackdown. This will, capture attention by January 2026. And what I'm seeing happen. I'm also seeing like a shipping or a logistic company or something like that. I'm seeing like in connection to port or a major routine or something. I'm seeing that there's going to be like a brief disruption or something like that into a global supply chain. This is going to distract like global supply chain. I'm also seeing like there's going to be, I'm picking this up continuously. I didn't want to say it, but it's going to be like something on the sea. There's going to be a problem on the sea. I want to get a country, but the country is not coming, or which side of sea is coming, it's not coming. There's going to be a very huge event on the sea. It's going to be like an explosion or something. I'm also seeing like more countries will start discussing about AI efficiency as the reason, like as a reason of reducing staff, in the end of the year or early 2026. I see this happening. I'm also seeing like small businesses will start speaking up about difficulties assessing credit or loans in somewhere in December to January 2026. A lot of people, you see, a lot of people are even selling a lot of how to grow on social media, things like that. A lot of companies are actually in debt. A lot of companies are actually suffering. I see that happening. So I'm seeing also a major housing market somewhere in US or another country is going to show a clear signs of stagnation or like price drop by early 2026. That's what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing an unexpected public figure that speaks openly about spirituality, intuition, or near-death experience, creating a viral moment. That's what I'm seeing also happening in the United States. I'm seeing that there's going to be a documentary or a series about conspiracy, corruption, or convert program, something like that. That's going to trend globally in either December or January of 2026. So it's going to be December of 2025 and then January of 2026. That's what I'm seeing happening. More people, I also see that more people will discuss leaving big cities due to cost, safety, or like political, kind of failing or something like that. This is particularly is going to be in North America or Europe. That's what I'm seeing happening in that regards. That's what I'm actually picking up. I see also that there's going to be a controversial arrest or a raid involving a public figure or an influencer that's going to trigger discussion on justice versus targeting. Something like that is going to be happening. This is something I'm picking for a worldwide event that is going to be happening. I'm also seeing that there's going to be a mass meditation or a global spiritual event. It's like there's going to be a mass, meditation program that is going to, or a spiritual event that is going to be organized online, focusing on healing or unity kind of a thing. Unity. I think this is going to be happening before the end of December 2025. That's what I'm actually seeing happening. I'm also seeing that more people will report of vivid dreams, intuitive spikes, or like reality feeling, something like that, or that is going to be very strange, thing like that. And this becomes a topic in mainstream media or large podcasts. I'm seeing multiple people who have it at the same time, and this is what I'm actually picking. I'll just do maybe one or two more of the things I'm picking. I think this video is going beyond already beyond 1 hour thereabout. So I'll just pick one or two and then call it a day. I see a growing number of people expressing the feeling that time is moving strangely. That like time is actually moving strangely, either too quickly or uneven ways, prompting like psychological and spiritual commentary, something like that. And this will spark as well. I'm also going to be the last one. I think by January 2026, early indications will show a wave of resignation. A lot of people will resign or burn out in professions that are linked to. I'm looking at healthcare. I'm also looking at education and then social services. I'm seeing this happening. This is going to be feeding into discussions about life purpose, boundaries, and energy. That is what I'm picking up for something that is going to be happening as well. So guys, this will be my December 2025 psychic prediction, or we can say wrapping up the year psychic prediction for 2025. If you like this video, kindly check my other video that I made a prediction for the United Kingdom. I made a prediction for Turkey, and also threw then a bonus for Nigeria as well. And also my other channel or my other video that I made a prediction for the US and China. Thank you guys for watching my video. Thank you.